Hello everyone, welcome to week 11. This week we are going to talk about how religion intersect with public education, and we will focus on how teachers can respect religious diversity while maintaining the inclusive and the ego-appropriate classroom practice. By the end of this week, you should understand both the opportunity and the challenge of the religion's diversity in the classroom, and how to respond in a culturally responsive way. Why this topic matters? Religion is deeply tied to identity. When school ignore or mishandle it, students might feel invisible or excluded, which affect their learning and the well-being. This chapter begins with a very powerful story showing how misunderstanding religion can harm students. This reminds us that cultural responsiveness includes religious awareness. According to the chapter 5 from the Pasino and the Warren, the author they mentioned above, in the United States, it is increasing religiously diverse. The teacher must be prepared to support students from many different belief systems. First Amendment bias. Public schools must remain neutral. They cannot promote or discourage religion, but they must protect students' right to practice their belief. Now let's talk more deeper about the differences between teaching about and teaching religion. Teachers can teach religion academically, such as history or culture, but cannot promote religious belief. The distinction is one of the most important ideas for educators to understand when working in a public school. When we say teaching religion, we are talking about teaching religion in an academic, objective, and neutral way. For example, you might teach about the major world religion in a social studies class. You will talk about their history, belief, tradition, and the cultural impact. You might also include religion influences when teaching the literature, art, or historical event. This type of the teaching helps the student develop cultural awareness and the global understanding. For example, if you are teaching about Asian civilization, you might explain how religion influenced law, tradition, or architecture. Or in a literature class, you might discuss religious symbolic in a text. These are all appropriate because they are educational, not devotional. However, teaching religion, which means promoting or encouraging students to adapt a particular belief. Remember, it is not allowed in public school. Teacher cannot lead player tell the student that one religion is better than another, or trying to influence student personal belief. For example, saying this is what Christian believe is appropriate, but saying you should believe this would cross the line. It is also to remember that teachers are in a position of authority. Even subtle comment can feel like pressure to the student. That is why maintaining neutral is so important. We must create a space where all the students feel respect no matter what they believe. Equal protection. Students are equally protected from the religion discrimination. School must ensure equal access and the fair treatment for all students. Common challenge. Research in the chapter show many teachers feel unprepared to address religious diversity, which can lead unintentional bias. Microaggression and bullying. The chapter highlights that students from the minority religion often face bullying and the microaggression, which can negatively affect their mental health and academic experience. Impact on students. What kind of impact the student might have? When students feel their identity is not respected, it impacts their learning. Inclusive is important for the student academic success. Role of the teacher. Teacher play a critical role. They set the tone for respect and the inclusion in the classroom. Creating an inclusive classroom is very important for the student learning. Inclusive strategy. We can promote inclusion by intentional incorporating diverse perspectives into the curriculum and the classroom discussion. In our class, we talk a lot how to work with the family. Remember, families are key partners. Understanding their beliefs help build the trust and support student success. Families are initial partners in supporting children's learning and development, especially when it comes to religion diversity. As a teacher, it is important for us to approach family with openness, respect, and a willingness to learn. First, communication is key. We should create a welcoming environment where families feel comfortable, share their belief, tradition, and expectation. This might include asking about important holiday, dietary restriction, or practice that can impact classroom participation. Second, respecting cultural and religious practice means being flexible and responsive. For example, some students might need accommodation for prayer time, fasting period like a Ramadan, or alternative activity during certain celebration. When we acknowledge and respect this need, we send a message that all students belong. Third, involving family in the learning process can strengthen relationships and enrich the classroom experience. We can invite the family to share their cultural or religion tradition, recommend books or resources, or participate in the classroom activity in ways that feel appropriate and comfortable for them. Most importantly, building the trust takes time. When the family see that we can respect their value and are committed to supporting their children, they are more likely engage and cooperate with us. This partnership alternatively builds students by creating more inclusive, supportive, cultural responsive learning environment. Student right. Students have the right to express their belief as long as he does not disrupt the learning environment. School responsibility. School must actively ensure that all the students feel safe and respected no matter what their religious background are. School administration need to provide appropriate training for the teacher to understand different cultural and help them to build cultural awareness. Teachers need ongoing professional development to better support religiously diverse students. Anti-bias practices. Anti-bias education helps the student understand and respect differences, including religion diversity. Key takeaway. As we read out this chapter, I want to emphasize one central idea. Balancing neutrality and inclusion is challenging, but it is absolutely essential for the equitable education. First, we need to recognize that religion is an important part of many student identity. It shapes their value, behavior, family tradition, and even how they see the world. When we ignore religion in the classroom, we are not being neutral. We may actually be excluding an important part of who our students are. At the same time, public schools have an legal and an ethical responsibility to remain neutral. This means we cannot promote or favor any religion. But neutrality but neutrality does not mean silence or avoidance. Instead, it means creating a fair and respectful space for all beliefs. This is where the challenge comes in. As a future educator, you will need to consistently make thoughtful decisions, such as how can I include diverse perspectives without privileging one belief system? How do I respond when a student shares a strong religion option? How do I ensure that all the students feel safe and respected, especially those from a minority religious background? There is no perfect script for every situation. That is why being a culturally responsive teacher is so important. Cultural responsive teaching means being aware of your own belief and the bias, learning about your student background, creating an inclusive classroom environment, responding thoughtfully to differences. It also means being intentional. Inclusion does not happen by accident. It requires planning, reflection, and care. For example, including diverse holiday in the classroom discussion, providing accommodation for religion practice, addressing bias or stereotype immediately, using inclusive language and the material. Ultimately, your goal as a teacher is to create a classroom where every student feels seen, respected, and valued. So, the key message I want you to remember is this. Neutrality protects fairness. Inclusion promotes belonging. Both are essential for equity. And as a future educator, you are the one who will bring that balance into your classroom. Okay, discussion for this week. The discussion question is how can school address religion diversity respectfully? Think about real classroom experience. our example, what would you do as a teacher to ensure all students feel respected? Remember, discussion board due on April 5th at midnight. Thank you.